Welcome to the High Bar, your weekly watering hole for lighthearted conversation with people who care about culture that matters. I'm Warren Etheridge, your host and barkeep. I promise never to cut anyone off while encouraging all to think responsibly. Today, join me and my guest, Dian Ferguson, the executive director at Scan TV, as we raise a toast and raise the bar for public access programming. We are here today on the High Bar to talk about a subject that is very dear to my heart, public access television. Because if it weren't for public access television, I literally would not be here. And I have the best person possible to speak about it, Dian Ferguson. You are the ED here at Scan Television.
Yes, that is true. I'm the director here at Scan.
Okay. Oh, not executive.
Oh, I'm the executive director. I always say I work here is what I tell people.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so
I tell
nice
them.
of you.
Yeah.
But let's talk about public access television, because right now it actually is endangered. Worse than the pygmy rabbit that we've been talking about in the news.
Yes, I was surprised to learn last Monday when I went to the mayor's budget presentation, and he talked about he had to make these difficult decisions because, as you know, the city of Seattle has a $67 million budget deficit projected for 2011 and 12. So he talked about that he made difficult budget cuts looking through a race and social justice lens. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, well, we're great. We're going to be safe. They're going to give us more money.
Right. Feel good,
and then came back to the office and went through the budget with a fine-tooth comb, only to discover that Scan had totally been zeroed out of the budget.
And clearly the reason why is because Scan TV takes up so much of the budget. I mean, you can tell looking around you that this is a $10 million production right here.
Well, no, actually, we are just a lean, mean organization. We received $650,000 from the city of Seattle through dedicated cable franchise fees money, and the city gets $7 million, and we only don't even get 10% of that money. Right. And so that's how come I was just really shocked and surprised. But now it's sort of like we're in a fight for our life so that we can continue as public access. And it really has been reinvigorating to know all of the folks that support us and that we're in this good fight, and I'm certain that we'll win.
And I see it. I see it on Facebook. I see it out there in the community. People really care about Scan Television. Mm-hmm. And let's talk about that financial sum again, because some people don't really get $650,000 is nothing. I mean,
no,
it's not even a fingernail's width in the budget.
No, it really isn't. I mean, if we can just kind of put it in perspective in terms of our contract with the city is through Department of Information Technology. Mm-hmm. Their budget is approximately $49 million. And of that $49 million, like I said, $7 million of it or so comes from the cable franchise fees. So that gives you a perspective. As a matter of fact, one of the things that DeWitt dedicated resources from the franchise fees in the 2011-12 budget is $400,000 just to upgrade the Outlook and email capacity of the city. Right. So they're making a statement that the email capacity of the city is more important than Scan.
And Scan, explain to people, because it's not just the High Bar. Mm-hmm. As tempting as it is for me to think that. It's not just the High Bar. It is 24/7 programming that really gets the community out there, and it offers the diversity that this city sometimes sadly lacks.
Right. I think that's really true. The whole idea about the PEG is public education and government. Mm-hmm. Public access is supposed to be for the people, by the people, to engage and inform people and to talk about all of the various communities and groups that get marginalized and disproportionalized so that they can have a voice to talk about what's important to them. And the other purpose is to help make government transparent. And so that's the other irony of it, is because behind the scenes, lurking behind the scenes was this non-genuine effort to sort of negotiate with Scan to renew our contractual relationship. Even though we've been working on this since 2009, there was no communication about us being zeroed out. Mm-hmm. And I think as we watch what's happened with Seattle newspaper, the Seattle PI, is now an online edition, and we see that there's less representation in terms of journalists who can go out and cover the city beat, what's happening across the state. Then one of the things that I think SCAN is really proud of is we, in essence, have at any given time 750 producers and content providers that can act as citizen journalists and cover whatever they think is really important, so that people can have information specific to their own neighborhoods, community, cultural groups, however they self-identify, and it's like taking that voice away.
Right, and it's a big deal. I mean, this really is not just a fiscal issue. This is a freedom of speech issue in my mind, because network television, or television by large, is really a monopolized form. And this is the one chance for the common person to actually speak out.
Yeah, I think that's really true. I think that one of the things that happens is not only is it taking away an important opportunity for the average Joe, the average person, to be engaged, but it's also a training ground. So many of the people who otherwise could not have access to the equipment, to our $1 million studios that we have available and editing suites to the public, they can come here and for a very small fee, basically $50 annually if you're in the city, $100 if you're out, can learn how.
$50 annually.
$50 annually,
Right.
I know. One of the best bargains in town still is that they can learn how to use the equipment. Our youth media program, which is really an awesome, exciting program. We have a mobile program where we can take our Macs books out to folks, and it has Final Cut Pro. They can learn how to do their own editing, create their own DVDs and video and production. And so these are all of the components that would be lost if SCAN is X'd out of the budget.
Well, I'm very excited about the vocational aspect, certainly, but I'm really intrigued by this idea of the voice, because it really is important. I mean, this is not just a budget line issue in my mind. This really is about speech. This really is about representation, because it'd be like the city saying, let's take away all the printing presses and all the Kinkos and all the photocopiers so that you couldn't possibly distribute the written word.
Right.
This is the chance for the public to speak out.
You know, that's exactly true, because one of the things I like about SCAN is that it is so diverse. On any given day, you can come here, and whatever anybody's fetish is, whatever their thing is,
You're
you
looking
can
at me
find
again.
it. You can find it at SCAN. Be it that they're into science fiction, they want to cook, they like to garden, they have a political viewpoint that they only share with 3 other people. SCAN is a place you can come and share that viewpoint with 3 other people, and in the process engage more people in understanding your viewpoint. And so that really is what's missed. I remember when I came to Seattle for graduate school at University of Washington, I had a friend who wanted to be in movies. And so I remember coming down here on certain nights, and we would do little skits on SCAN, and we'd go into what is now, I guess, the smaller studio, and he would do readings, and, you know, different people wanted to be actors, would do some poetry and different kinds of things like that. And it was a wonderful opportunity, and for him, it was really meaningful, because in the end, he actually got some small parts and was in, what's that movie, with Meg Ryan and Hank, or
Sleepless in Seattle.
Sleepless in Seattle, yes. He was the elevator operator in Sleepless in
It's
Seattle.
all come together for
It
him.
all came
Nora
together.
Ephron film.
Yes, yes, yes.
So there are success stories other than the high bar here at SCAN.
Yes, yes.
Can you talk about some other things that have come as a result of SCAN TV that you're proud of?
I think that what we're proud of is that we've given a voice to a lot of language-specific programs that didn't have a voice before. And I have friends of all ethnic and cultural groups, and one of my friends, who happens to be Korean from Seoul, she loves to watch the Korean Post. And so one of the things that she wanted me to do was set up an opportunity for her to meet the producer of the Korean Post. And so now they're friends.
There you go.
And the thing is that she was kind of homesick, and so she loves that show. And I think that that's one of the good things. I know that one of my favorite experiences is talking with the people from Somali TV, because a lot of times they do their show on a Saturday, and they bring their kids in with them, and they'll have a children and a young people's component. or during the whole soccer thing, you know, they were so totally into that, and everything was about soccer, and that's a really big thing in their community. And so it's like I can't even imagine not having that opportunity for them to be able to broadcast and to be able to stream over line so that their friends and relatives in Somalia can have the opportunity to see what they're doing here in Seattle.
I like that you refer to it as a soccer thing, as if that was a fetish itself.
No, we know that soccer's big. Soccer rules.
Well, I mean, it's really intriguing to me that you have all these shows, all these programs, and it's not as if there's another outlet. Is there? I mean, is there another way? I mean, it's not as if people can pick up their show and go someplace else.
No, that really is the irony of it, because one of the things that I learned in the process of this whole budget situation was that someone at Do It, and I won't identify who, but was negotiating with Puget Sound Access, which is our public access center for South King County, negotiating with them to be able to send out the opportunity for a bid. And apparently they think that they can do it for $100,000. And the thing that's really interesting about that is because recently King County did a community needs assessment to renew their cable franchise agreement in the county. And so they looked at all of us that did government and public access. So they talked about our strengths and our weaknesses. And one of the things that SCAN was identified as being really strong in was our diversity of programming, and the fact that we, over the last 4 years, have had 750 producers and content providers compared to Puget Sound Access 81. And the other thing that was really interesting is many of the programming opportunities that we have here that we show on air, Puget Sound Access doesn't allow it to be seen on their channel because they think it's a little too risque. So
Really?
some of those controversial sort of political perspectives are not allowed on Puget Sound Access. Even though it's all about free speech, they do a lot more censoring than we do.
Right, so not really free speech, that's heavily discounted speech.
Heavily discounted speech, that's accurate.
Well, so now there was this, a competing bid essentially trying to outsource the work of SCAN for an even smaller portion in a place that rhymes with Lent.
Yes, smaller. And I think the other thing is that they do not by far offer the opportunities and services. I think they like to say that, you know, they have a state-of-the-art facility, and we'll give them that. Their facility might be better structurally than ours, but in terms of what goes on within our facilities, I think we by far have more programming. I happen to live in the city of Tukwila, so Puget Sound Access is my station, and I'm a night owl. I stay up till I have to make myself go to bed. I have a goal of trying to be in the bed by 2:30 every morning. But sometimes when I want to just do something fun, I turn it on Puget Sound Access and watch the old Godzilla shows or the Hercules shows or all of this free domain stuff that you can watch, but that really is not local programming. And it's fun to watch, but you know, that's not what public access should be about. It really should be about the opportunity to create local programming and to share it with your community.
Right, that's an amazing thing about SCAN is that you can be flipping through, anybody could be flipping through the channels and find something that speaks to them, actually.
Right, something that speaks to them. I do want SCAN to put on more science fiction, though. I love sci-fi.
You want more science fiction?
I want some more science fiction, yes.
I want more drinking.